Fantasy freaks and geeks, what's going on? James Coe here with you. Oh man, major news on a Tuesday night. You're listening to me on a Wednesday, but man, huge news dropping here on a Tuesday. And it starts, of course, with Kirk Cousins being benched for rookie Michael Penix. Michael Penix, the kid out of Washington, is now the new starter. And from a fantasy perspective, this should be a positive. I know people want to pile onto Kirk Cousins and they love the shiny new thing in Michael Penix, but again, and I'm with most people, I think that it should be an upgrade on the offensive side for guys like Drake London and guys like Darnell Mooney, but I'm not 100% sure because I do think that Michael Penix is a little bit of a project. Now, we are pretty deep into the season. Who knows what's been going on in the background? Hopefully Michael Penix is good to go, and hopefully he's learned a lot under the tutelage of, Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins, right? But let's break down the Kirk Cousins part of it. Okay. We know that Cousins has never been a big arm quarterback, but over the last few weeks, my God, dude looked like he was tossing paper airplanes back there, man. There was absolutely no leg drive behind some of these throws. You got to think his Achilles is bugging him right now, but who knows? Again, he's 36 years old. And I know Tom Brady reset this whole quarterback expectation thing for aging quarterbacks, but man, 36 years old, listen, pre-Brady, 35-ish was generally the age we saw significant decline. Okay. And when we're talking about some of, Cousins' peers, right? Matt Ryan was 37 years old when his arm completely fell off the map in Indianapolis. Phillip Rivers was 38 his last year for the Chargers. He was 39 for the Colts, but 38 in that last year for the Chargers. And quite frankly, he looked pretty cooked too, right? That year he had 23 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. Not good. Eli Manning retired at the age of 38. But golly, if you think about his last couple of years there in New York, I mean, shoot, he was just about cooked at 36, 37 years old, right? So this is the age right now where Kirk Cousins is at. We're talking about a dude who's 36 years old. But flipping it back to the side, well, shoot, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about Kirk here, okay? Because where he really struggled was in the intermediate area of the field. Right? I'm talking about he's tossing paper airplanes, and actually on deep shots, he's actually been relatively effective. But in that area, when we're talking intermediate area of the field, 10 to 19 yards downfield, these are throws truly actually where you do have to have pretty good arm strength, right? Because you generally on these throws, you really got to put some mustard behind it, man. And again, I'm not Kendrick going to scream out mustard. No, but you do got to get some mustard, a little oomph behind these throws, right? Because you got to beat some of these, down breaking safeties, some of these linebackers that are trailing back into these throws, man. These are tight windows generally when we're talking about intermediate, especially intermediate middle area of the field, right? Throws where you got to fire lasers to the sideline, right? Like you're trying to throw a deep out cut, 12 yards downfield, 10 yards downfield. You better put that on a line. Otherwise, that bad boy's getting picked. And you know what? Far too often, he was getting picked. Since week number 11, there has not been a worse quarterback in the league throwing to the intermediate area of the field than Kirk Cousins. He has thrown a league worst 7 interceptions to the intermediate area of the field since week number 11. He is dead last in EPA on these throws by a million miles. Minus 20.6 total EPA. Second to last only to Aaron Rodgers. Oh, excuse me. Aaron Rodgers is second. And he's a distant second at minus 6.5. I mean, we talk about completion rate, 40% completion rate to the intermediate area of the field since week number 11. Again, that's second worst in the NFL, only to Rodgers. Another aging quarterback. Aaron Rodgers at 29% completion rate. That is shockingly bad. When you've got Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, and you're completing 29% of your passes to the intermediate area of the field. Bro, what are we doing out here? Anyways, that is for a different episode. But clearly, he has struggled. We're talking about Kirk Cousins. Clearly has struggled in the intermediate area of the field since week number 11. Something has happened, man. I don't know if he's taken a downturn with his injury. I don't know, but something looks off with Kirk Cousins. And if you think about offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, right? He comes from that McVay coaching tree. Where does McVay like to attack? It is in the intermediate middle of the field. And again, over the last 5 weeks, no one has been worse in the NFL at throwing to the intermediate area of the field than Kirk Cousins. And this is also an area where Drake London thrives. So if Michael Penix can give them some juice in this area in particular, I think it helps the offense launch and go to another level. Honestly, can it be worse than 7 picks since week 11 to the inner? I don't think it can be worse. I don't think it can be worse. By the way, Michael Penix, he's in a great spot this week. You're listening to the Sleeper King Football Podcast. So, of course, Penix, I think, is an absolute sleeper this week. Giants are bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed to quarterback, and they are particularly bad on deep passes. They're bottom 3 in receptions, yards, touchdowns, and completion percentage allowed on deep passes this year. Again, they stink versus the deep pass. Where does Michael Penix win? He loves the big plays down the field. Loves it. So yeah, this matchup, I think, links up perfectly, lines up perfectly with the big play mentality of Michael Penix. So yeah, there's reason for optimism here. Okay. By the way, Michael Penix, man, I can't help but look at Michael Penix running around this Atlanta, jersey. And I can't help but think of a Atlanta quarterback Frankenstein when I look at Michael Penix. It's like if you took that lefty swag cannon off of Mike Vick and attached it to the body of Matt Ryan, right? An old school pocket passer. That is Michael Penix. And just like it was with Matt Ryan, I'm telling you, man, Penix is like this Atlanta, Frankenstein quarterback, bro. It's crazy. I do think they will get more vertical, and I do expect a lot more air yards in general for Drake London and Darnell Mooney. Don't be surprised, man, if these guys start hitting on some big plays, man. Let's see if Michael Penix can get it done. I'm really excited to see what we got here. Hopefully, he has developed, because he is, or was, even when he was drafted, it's somewhat of a developmental quarterback. So I don't know. We'll see. By the way, not getting as many headlines, but I would say arguably more important in fantasy football is the fact that Jameis Winston got benched for Cleveland. DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the kid out of UCLA, he's back in there. And when I say it is over for Jerry Jeudy, let me tell you, it is freaking over for Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has been a demon. He's been a monster. He's been a God slayer. This guy has been unbelievable since Jameis Winston has taken over at quarterback. But now I think with DTR, forget about it. And let me tell you why, man. DTR across 34 pass attempts this year, he is averaging a negative 1.03 air yards per pass attempt. Negative. If you are not familiar with air yards, the reason I am laughing is that what that means is when you are averaging negative air yards per pass attempt, what that means is that on average, every pass that he has thrown this year is behind the line of scrimmage. That is crazy. That is not, I've literally never seen that. Never. A negative air yards per pass attempt? What? Oh my goodness, that's almost impossible. That is crazy, bro. By the way, if you're looking, and I know it's a small sample size, so you're saying, oh, okay, well, hey, listen, 34 pass attempts, that's like an entire game's worth. Can you imagine an entire game's worth where you have a negative air yards average? That's insane. Okay, and over his career, it's not that much better, guys. 146 career pass attempts. Okay, he goes from -1 to a meager 1.68 air yards per attempt. Okay, for comparison, Jameis Winston is averaging 6.2 air yards per pass attempt this year. That's the third highest in the NFL. Generally, you want your quarterbacks in that 5 to 6 range. Maybe even like 4.5 to 5.5. That's where you generally want these guys, right? So it's a mix of kind of like underneath quick hitters and deep shots every now and again, but mostly in that 5 to 10 yard range. That's kind of where you want. But man, these 6.2 air yards per attempt is the third highest in the NFL. You're going from that to -1. Oh man. I am sorry, man, but that is not going to be good for Jerry Jeudy. That is not going to be good for David Njoku. The good times are dead. The good times are dead in Cleveland. I'm happy for you if you had Jerry Jeudy and you were just riding it out and you were living like kings. Living like kings, let me tell you. But those days are dead now. I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel very strongly about this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Shoot. Maybe they find a way to open it up with DTR. But I think from what we've seen, and especially given his, UCLA background, we don't see any of that. We don't see DTR firing it downfield. I haven't seen that ever from Dorian Thompson. This is, by the way, this is why I'm not going to lie to you. I'm surprised that they're making this move. Look, I know Jameis has been throwing picks like an overstuffed Pez dispenser. Okay. It's been bad. Like, I get it. I'm just turnovers all over. I get it. But DTR is basically Deshaun Watson without the sexual assault charges, bro. You want to go back to that offense? No, thanks. I don't want that. I got to be honest with you. I think that DTR might be so bad that they go back to Jameis Winston maybe like in the fourth quarter or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. This is not good. I don't think this is going to be pretty. I don't. But I will hold some hope out that DTR, again, natural runner of the football, but he never runs. I don't understand this move at all. I'm not going to lie to you. Anyways, let's talk about some quarterback sleepers. Now, we did talk about Michael Penix, 100% a sleeper this week. One of my favorite sleepers, honestly, against the Giants. But some other quarterbacks here. Now, we talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked about Cooper Rush. If you want to find that information, obviously go back and listen to yesterday's episode. That's fine. I'll give you a quick rundown, though. Cooper Rush is taking on Tampa Bay. The Bucs have allowed the second most fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. Cooper Rush has been dang solid. So I like Cooper Rush. He's probably my favorite streamer this week, honestly. Aaron Rodgers against the Rams. The Rams have allowed the 9th most fantasy points per game to the quarterback position. Actually, I'll give you some more information in regards to this, because after I was doing a little bit more digging, it lines up even better, right? From a matchup perspective, the Rams are bottom 10 in sacks. That's great for Rodgers to sit back and dissect the defense, but they're also bottom 10 in receptions and touchdowns allowed on deep passes this year. That's an area that Rodgers is literally addicted to trying to exploit. I talked about his intermediate area of the field. Like I don't know why he used to be great in this area, but he just has said, forget it. I don't want to throw to the intermediate area of the field. That's not what he wants to do. He's either going to check that bad boy down, hit you on a slant, or he's going to look to hit you over the top. And again, the Rams, they're giving up a ton of production on deep passes this year. I think the matchup looks pretty good for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. And by the way, speaking of Achilles injuries and Kirk Cousins, it was obviously a very slow start for Aaron Rodgers this year, but he has looked a lot better, I would say, over the last probably about 3 weeks or so. So maybe he's getting healthier and just getting used to games, because remember, he didn't even play at all last year. So I don't know. We'll kind of see there. Okay, so we like Cooper Rush. We like Aaron Rodgers. We also really like Mac Jones taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. 6 of the last 7 quarterbacks to face Las Vegas have posted 16 or more fantasy points, with 3 of those 6 scoring 20 or more fantasy points. So that's not bad. The only quarterback to not crack 16 points against the Raiders, the aforementioned Kirk Cousins last week. This has been one of the more automatic matchups in fantasy all year long. And Mac Jones, I think, he's not he's not the best. He's been extremely up and down. And to be frank, he's been mostly down. Okay. But I will say this, he has scored 18 plus in 2 of his last 3 games. So he's coming into a great matchup, and he himself is playing a little bit of better football over the last 3 weeks. I don't know. Again, when we're talking about a sleeper option here for you, you're in a more competitive league, you're in a super deep league, maybe you're in a 14-teamer and you're desperate. Shoot, maybe you had Kirk Cousins. Okay, you didn't go and add Michael Penix. Okay. Hey, listen, Mac Jones is out there, baby. Mac Jones is absolutely a viable streaming start this week. Shoot, maybe if you're in Superflex, again, and you're debating between a bunch of these randos, okay, Mac Jones does have an opportunity now to put up a pretty decent stat line against Las Vegas. So, all right, so there you go. That's the show. Man, I can't believe what we are getting here in regards to Kirk Cousins, but pretty complete breakdown. Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to be talking about running backs and potentially tight ends as well. But I think mostly running backs tomorrow when we talk about the Sleeper King Football Podcast. Okay, until then, remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Peace.